Brakken, you're behind the eight ball today.
Yeah.
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 That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You also have a new set of shoes on your wall, and I can't tell if is that a Vaporfly? Is that a
Vaporfly 4.
okay? What's your first hot take on it?
It doesn't feel like a Vaporfly.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? So I would say a good thing.
For my stride, it's a good thing. I'm not sold. Now, I've only done one workout in this shoe, and I need to do more at different paces, but I'm not sold that this now is a top tier shoe on the market today.
I've never thought it was a top tier shoe.
For
But
its weight, I always thought it was the fastest shoe for its weight. Like if you wanted to just run, let's say, a road mile through 5K, I think that for most people on the planet, this was going to be a top 3 shoe.
No, I think that's I only like tempo, whatever that means, pace in that shoe. Anything faster, it fights back, man. It pushes back the wrong way for me personally.
Well, in this one, I don't feel the plate trying to make me do something.
Okay, that's a good thing in my opinion.
Yes, I would say it is a good thing. The other, like the original 1, 2, and 3, it wanted to go where it wanted to go. 1 and 2 more so than 3. It was like get on board or get out of the way kind of thing. And I just got out of the way. The shoe didn't work great for me. I think like mile pace would be the thing it would work for me for. Anything else, I couldn't activate the plate the way it wanted. But the reason I think I don't feel the plate doing what it wants to do is because they lowered the shoe. This is not a 39 mil stack. This is not a max stack shoe anymore. This is a medium stack shoe. And by the nature of that, you take away how much curvature you can put in the plate. And I think that's what's happening here. So it's very light, but it didn't feel, now I did one workout in it, but it didn't feel immediately special on my feet. And these days, a lot of shoes feel special on your feet when you put them on.
I felt like that about every rendition of the Vapor so far, with 2 being their best. I think the 2 is before. I think the 2 is the one I wear that I prefer. Is that right? Is it the 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we don't need to dwell on it. We have a limited window today because you're late AF to the recording because life, traffic, karting, it's all ruining you. So we need to get to it.
1 week, Kirk. Now, karting season's done, but postseason is happening, and he moves up a division, so he has a new kart that we are getting together and testing out before we head into the off season. So I literally have 1 week left, and then it's done.
Cool. Hallelujah.
All right, let's rock.
Mud Gear socks. I'm getting excited about this. I bet I have gotten 40 responses to opinions on what sock they would prefer.
I got one.
Well, I read the running public messages.
Got a personal email that said quarter.
So I'm surprised. If you have any thoughts on this, we might have to have a number of options because apparently preferences are across the board as far as height of sock. Most agree that yellow is a bad choice, but good. A neon yellow or a bright green, good choice. Most people want black or gray, so you're right there. But I can't make any sense about what size people actually, what cut people actually want. It is a jumbled mess. So if you have any strong opinions, I don't know how many versions we're going to have customized made, but the feedback that you guys want these socks is awesome. It is Mud Gear sock season, especially fall, winter, spring. I don't know about you, but when I wear a thin summer sock, which I've made that mistake many a times in the winter, and your feet end up freezing because these super shoes have their see-through, basically, the mesh on top, you actually need some beef to your sock at times just to stay comfortable. And so it's time to go check out Mud Gear, and then we're going to get these socks. I'm waiting for prototypes, but we can still take opinions on cut.
Well, my opinion is that although I love no-show or those tab socks, they're useless from a branding standpoint.
They're not going to help us out at all.
No one will see that you're like, you won't even know you're wearing TRP socks once the shoe's on.
Oh, they're going to be special. You'll know. But
No
nobody
show?
else will. Nobody else is going to know. But
Right.
you'll know. You'll know, like, this feels right on my foot, you're going to say to yourself.
Okay.
Anyway, send us a message on the Running Public account. IG would be best.
There we go.
All right. So I want to do a running math episode today.
It's like boy math.
Whatever you want to call it. It's the running math version of bro science, which means it's not science and it's not factual. It is anecdotal, opinion-based, and subjective in nature. How's that sound?
Sounds like my wheelhouse.
So we've been getting messages. Well, math is not your wheelhouse, so let's make that
fake
clear.
math is.
Fake, that is right in the sweet spot because you can't be right nor wrong.
Yeah.
So I just received 2 emails today, just today alone, in response to what people think. You have to listen to our podcast regularly to understand where I'm going with this. So I'm hoping most of you dedicated listeners aren't in the dark on this. But a couple of times now we've referenced running math, like, and I know you've heard this recently if you listen, but like, if you can't get a 10-mile run in, but can get 2 runs in throughout the day, does 5 plus 5 give you the same benefit as a 10-mile run that day? Or do you need to do more, like 6 and 6, to get the credit for an original 10-mile run? That's how this conversation started. Well, then somebody asked about the 4x4x48 challenge, which is running 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours for 2 days straight. Somebody asked, well, what does that equal in running math? And we just dissect that, on a recent episode or 2?
Yes.
Well, I've gotten people, I don't know.
I think just last Friday we did it.
Yeah, I think it was recent, like the last episode.
Yeah.
And so I got 2 emails today, and I got like 2 references either in conversations with athletes I work with or something about that exact thing. What does 4x4x48 equal? And people seem to have thoughts on this.
Okay.
So I figured I'd read the emails today, or Cliff Notes versions. And then we can talk about running math in any context we want, wherever your mind takes you.
Beautiful.
Okay. I agree. It is beautiful. So this is from Jay Fedig. Jay and I have worked together for 5 years, 6 years. He has raced numerous backyard ultras, numerous 100+ mile races, WTM top 10 twice, short Spartan duration, all sorts of things. He's traveled and did the Dragon's Back 7-day overseas. Point being is this guy is tenured and he's a stud. He also sent us customized Running Public beer, if you remember. He owns the brewery. Jay, whose opinion I value because he's done it all, says, I just listened to your Running Public Q&A from last week, and I figured I'd chime in on that 4x4x48 question and socks, ! The correct answer is 4x4x48 equals 62.5 miles.
Hey, that's what I said.
Also acceptable 75 mile for ultra athletes. I figured you'd be happy.
Although I had a disclaimer that physically it doesn't cost you that much.
We can get to that. So right now you guys are sleeping in the same bed. Let's call
Welcome, Jay.
It's warm in here, Jay. All right. Here's my math, he says. And what I also find ironic about this is that he's not terribly long-winded. Like, we check an email every week, and I get the facts pretty much. This is like the longest email he sent me in like years.
You find someone's passion, and then they let loose.
Yeah. Anyways, here's my math. 4x4x48 sucks way more than just running 48 miles, he says. And he's done 4x4x48 twice, I think, in his training prep for some of his backyard style ultras and other stuff. So he's done this. Waking up in the middle of the night is worse than just running straight through powered by caffeine. Tiredness really only sets in after 24 hours. However, the 24 hours race is quite hard, and I would really have to think about whether I would want to run for 24 hours or do the 4x4x48 challenge. So he's already putting them in the same camp. Okay, I'm just going to read it all. You know what? Next, I considered 12 hours of a backyard ultra, which is 50 miles. That's actually quite easy, he says. And 10 times out of 10, I would choose that. 18 hours is 75 miles, and I think I would still choose that over the 4x4x48. So, because you'll end up getting hit with sleep deprivation, and while I might choose this, the average person probably wouldn't, so it's unlikely too difficult. All right, so this, I guess it is kind of long-winded. Basically, what he's saying, in summary, is that the equivalent is 15 hours for 62.5 miles. He would choose that 7 out of 10 times over the 4x4x48. It's hard, but you really won't have any sleep deprivation. I believe sleep deprivation is worse than the extra 12.5 missing miles, assuming a backyard ultra race. So that's one opinion. Okay, this is a lot. Just take it in. Joey Coates, who I worked with for years, who's also done 100-mile races and shorter races. I enjoyed the back and forth with you and Brakken because you are both right. The 4x4x48 is magical because the structural damage is less than a marathon. I equate it to hard 20-miler because of rest.
What did we say? The lowest it could be is like a 50K?
Yeah, and Joey's done this as well. So Joey, he speaks his truth, right? So I equate it to a hard 20-miler because of the rest. However, it teaches you bigger lessons like a 100K for sleep deprivation, gear, nutrition, and blisters. That said, the biggest benefit is learning how to start and stop 12 times, especially if you are repeating the same route. You learn how to handle the mental and physical fatigue from running when you no longer want to do it. It is both idiotic but useful. So those are the two just today.
Yeah.
What is your reaction to those?
Well, I agree with both of them. Whether or not our numbers line up exactly, I don't agree. It's the physical damage of a hard 20-miler. Unless by hard you mean like an all-out race. But even like an all-out, we've both raced roughly 20 miles all-out before, or the time domain equivalent.
Yeah.
You don't get swollen feet in a hard 20, no matter how hard you run, no matter how much downhill there is. Your ankles don't swell. Your feet don't hurt. The only way your feet hurt in a hard 20-miler is if the shoe's hurting you. So the time on feet gets you of the long one. Anyway, so I don't agree with that, but I do agree with like the physical impact damage is less than 48 miles. And the psychological strain and hassle of doing this is greater than 48 miles. It's the damage of 48 hours and the damage of, I don't know, half to 2/3 of the distance mileage wise. So both sides are going to be right. The only people who are wrong are the people that say it's harder than the worst of either one. Like it's harder than a regular 48-hour race, or it's harder than a regular 48-mile race from a physical standpoint and then a mental standpoint, respectively.
You know how sometimes you take a nap, which is rare these days, but it almost feels like it's totally reset you for the rest of it's almost like you got a full night's sleep, even though you slept for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
What I don't know is if that theory works for 1 and then 2 nights of sleep, because the reality of the situation is you run at midnight. Let's say you're fast. You get done in 30 minutes. Well, you have to start again in 3.5 hours, which means you can't roll out of bed into your shoes and go. There's like a ramp up period. So
best case 3 hours, absolute best. Like you're falling asleep and waking up and rolling.
And how many times so you're instantaneously going to fall asleep when you finish, roll out of bed. This isn't taking into account potty breaks or fueling or anything, daily tasks. I don't know what you have going on in your life.
Right.
And so what I imagine is after the first evening, about 2 to 4 a.m., whether you've slept a little bit or not, it's pretty much a fog of misery for the next 24 hours. You might be trying to squeeze in 15 minutes in the middle of the day, and you're just behind the 8 ball. And by 24 to 36 hours in, it is the last thing you want to do. You are a moving zombie, and it's miserable every step. And I think it fast forwards that process of, let's say, a 100-mile race when it is 3 a.m. and you've been on foot for however long. I think there's definitely merit to that. I don't think it sounds like any fun. I
No.
think if you were the right kind of person who somehow could just be like on command, well, bam, sleep, and do that 3 to 4 times in a 24-hour period, this might actually be enjoyable and easy in quotes. But I don't think that's a reality for anybody.
No. I think if you do this the right way, it's worse.
What's the right way?
Which is you plan your sleep from the beginning, you structure this all out. If you treated this like a fun thing or a party and you just stayed up for 24 hours doing this, you'd probably have fun the entire first 24 hours.
Until.
And then suddenly you'd be so tired. It'd be like a 100 mile, it'd be like a 200-mile race or something. You're just like, I'm going to crash. But you would make it a day and a night because it'd be easier than a normal day and a night because you're taking all these rests in between, and you could make it like a fun atmosphere. It would get worse starting those witching hours, right? But if you did it correctly, where you're waking up several times already that first night, it's going to suck from the first time you wake up. But you'll do better with it long term. So for me, back to Jay's, they both kind of said what they'd choose, but Jay was very specific what he would choose. I would never choose to do this for the enjoyment. I think this would be one of the least enjoyable styles because it's the worst of both worlds. In the moment, for those 48 hours, you're getting the least bang for your buck out of any race you could ever possibly do. You're going through sleep deprivation like he talked about. You're going to have it mess with your eating enough that it's going to be a hassle. You're going to be fatigued and not looking forward to it, but you're only getting 48 miles out of it. Like he said, you could just go knock that out during the day if you wanted to. So it's the worst of both worlds. You don't get much to show for it, but you have to go through all the sleep deprivation, which is why, like he said, it's good training for people if you want to move into the long ultra stuff. But I would never choose to do it from like a happiness standpoint because I wouldn't be. I'd be miserable during this.
Get hard, stay hard, Brakken.
Well, that's really what this comes down to, right? This is a Goggins thing. And like most of his things, this is one of the few times I name someone's name and then just say I flat out disagree with them. I flat out disagree with the most of the things that David Goggins stands behind. This is one of them. I think this is a foolish endeavor.
He's for mental callousing, and this would be a mental callousing.
I actually stand with him on that.
Yeah, this is for mental callousing. This is not an effective way, other than the emotional and mental roller coaster that is the long endurance events. But this isn't the way to be better at your next ultra marathoner. So I think using this as a training tactic for physiological or structural benefit, there are a million other ways that are better than this. But if you just want to be familiar with being miserable, even if it's just the mental side of things, I think this is very valid.
Yes.
Let's call it test.
Here's why I would choose this. If I wanted that, if I wanted the learnings, the grit, the callousing of a multi-day ultra without the month-long or more recovery process that a lot of people face, this is what I would do. Because day 2, you're not going to want to get up. Right?
I think this takes, what do you think? Let's say you do this a Saturday and a Sunday, or a Friday and Saturday. I think by Wednesday, Thursday, that following week, you're probably feeling kind of back to yourself.
Yeah. I look at this like a real 50K in terms of like recovery. Yeah. 3 or 4 days, and you're going to think like I could probably be running. And then you're going to get really tired. And you're going to be dragging. And by the end of the next weekend, you're going to be back to good. Like, should you go race again? Probably not. But could you? Yeah, if you really wanted to.
What do you think about making this a race in least amount of accumulated time? Let's say that is the strategy. Like, now this is an event in which your time is kept for each 4-mile run. Lowest accumulated time wins. Let's call it a virtual challenge, like we put out back in the COVID days. What do you think? Would that significantly change this or no for you?
From a recovery standpoint or from a desirability standpoint?
I don't care. Whatever you want to talk about.
It might change recovery just because you're working harder, but it might make you more likely to sleep. I'm not sure. I don't like the idea of it, I don't think, but it makes it more of a, like, there's more tinkering involved. So I think that would entice me. What do you go out at? But really, I think the same people win, to be honest.
Well, there's no winning in this unless you complete it or don't.
I'm
Right?
saying if you did it as a challenge for the lowest total time spent moving, it's probably
Yeah.
the same people that would win a 48-mile race.
It's the rich get richer in this case,
Yeah.
to be
So
honest. Yeah.
I think the only reason I would do it would be to get the full experience without having to maybe have like edema or have like some stress reaction, or without having to have like not being able to put my shoes on for 2 weeks, which you see from people after hundreds. Their feet and legs sometimes have massive issues for a while. You wouldn't have
Mhm.
that from this probably. So that'd be the only reason I would ever do this, is if I just wanted all the mental grit work
Mm.
with the least amount of physical payment to pay afterwards.
That sounds bad.
Otherwise,
I want the
I'd rather
physical.
do a 100-mile race than this, I think.
I as well. Yeah.
I I mean, yeah, because you're done. I think for me, having a timeline to just be done by,
Well, you have that timeline. It's
but
just 2 days.
you can't change it though.
Your hard work is not going to be rewarded with a quicker
No,
result.
knowing
Yeah.
like I just have to make it 17 more miles, great. Let's get that done. Whether you do that fast, slow, or whatever in the 4x4x48 doesn't change how long it's going to take you. So I think I do better on one stop shop races rather than it's not a race, which is the point, right? This isn't a race. You just have to complete it. There's no adrenaline. There's no cheering section. You just have to go out and make yourself get out the door over and over and over and over. That is the point.
Just to stay hard.
Get hard, stay hard.
It's our motto here. No, it is not.
That is their motto. That's
That
not
is
my
their
motto.
motto. All right. So we don't need to dwell on the 4x4x48 anymore, I don't think, unless you have more things you want to dissect.
I do want to say though that I prescribed a version of this twice to athletes.
So, note to you listening, never hire Brakken as your coach.
We did 4x4 by 16 for an athlete.
Oh, for 16-mile runs 4 days in a row?
No. For 16 hours, 4
Oh,
miles every 4 hours.
that seems digestible.
Yeah. For the same purpose, like get a sense of fueling on only fueling, like race fuel,
Hmm.
for over an entire daylight period to
Do
get
you think
used to working on tired legs.
now you bring up an interesting thing? I'm wondering if that would be a shortcut strategy for that. Like you could just quick hit the sleep deprivation, stay moving. Like, okay, you're going to do 4x4x16, but you're starting at 10
Yep.
p.m.
And
Would that,
I've done a version of that.
like, if you really hate yourself enough, you could try something like that.
We called this the minimum effective dose of Goggins approach. Like how little could you do and still get the intended benefit?
Yeah.
It's got to be one more round than you want to, and one less round that would set you back for more than like 48 hours. That's how we looked at it for why I prescribed that for ultra runners. People who are new to it, new to the overnight game, this is what we did.
Yeah. I've had a few athletes do it just on a whim over the years. Aftermath seems pretty brutal as far as like life, vigor, and getting back to center and homeostasis being thrown off. All right. I guess I'm ready to move on. Is there more?
Yeah, I have one more follow up to that, and that's a question for you.
Yeah.
They mentioned backyard format, and so that kind of just made me think, if this is the worst bang for your buck race format, it's great for grit, whatever, sure. You can do a lot of things. You do anything for 48 hours, you're building up calluses. But what is the best bang for your buck ultra style? Like if you wanted someone to hit a certain mileage or whatever, is there anything better than backyard style? Is there any way to amplify your performance more than a backyard style? Is that the best bang for your buck?
What bang for your buck in what way?
Like this, you're working for 48 hours and only getting 48 miles. 100-mile race, you're going to work hard for 20 to 30 for most people. And you're going to get real far, but you're going to be in so much fatigue that you're barely moving at the end. Like backyards, to me, you're going to be the most effective with the use of your energy and the time frame. Like I said, you do half a day, you got 50 miles. and you're not wrecked from it. Is that the most effective way to just stack mileage for most people?
You're talking in a race sense, or like this should be done in training even
Either or.
to
What's the
I think
best
it's
bang for your energy from if you wanted to go over 50K?
I think it's still a rich get richer, poor get poorer scenario. In the sense where like I don't know if this is a super great bang for your buck if you're a 6-minute miler and it's a flat backyard course. However, if you're coming in at 55 minutes by the skin of your teeth and all you can do is practice a quick gear change and fuel and get out of there, super awesome bang for your buck. I think.
Okay.
I guess that's my first knee jerk reaction to that. But how many? Okay, if you're a 15-minute 5Ker, you're not looking at backyard ultras right now.
Right.
Generally.
Well, I've seen people who are 20 to 25 minute 5K runners
win,
get to 50 miles in 12 hours or under, who may be not able to do that if they set out for a 50-mile race.
Yeah.
Because the backyard ultra break style covers up pacing issues and fueling issues because it's safe.
I agree with that.
But yeah, and you see slow people win it. Now, I think after a certain point, it's, again, foolish.
So in a backyard ultra, so if you go for 24 hours, that's roughly 96 miles. Usually there's change on there, so it's about 100, right? In 24 hours.
You try to make it 100 in 24 hours.
Roughly. So it's usually like 4.1 or something, whatever it comes out
4.186 or whatever
the math
number.
is.
Yeah.
But they're always approximate, I feel like, at these things.
Yeah.
So does 24 hours of a backyard ultra equal 100 miles? Is that just 1 for 1?
No, I don't believe it does. I think the accomplishment, like you've run 100 miles, yes, but the continuous movement is what's destructive to your body. Most destructive, I think. People come out of 100 miles or like 80 or whatever they hit at a backyard ultra with less recovery costs than they do running the exact same distance in a race where they're not trying to break it up early. Because what unfailingly people do is they try to make it as far as possible before they ever take their breaks during a 100 miler.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're behind the 8 ball recovery wise, and then swelling doesn't go down. Whereas if you're stopping every hour, you're stopping and getting your legs up or doing whatever, you can stay on top of that thing. So it's the accumulation unbroken, I think, is what gets people.
So what does 100 miles in a backyard ultra of 24 hours equal?
That is a really good question. Now,
Don't tell me you're going all the way down to 100K.
Well, that's my floor for that.
Uh-huh.
But again, now I'm talking about things that I haven't done. I've not done a backyard ultra, and I have not raced longer than 31 or 33 miles.
How ultra curious are you?
I'm very ultra curious.
I can't decide. I have like I can't decide. I get bored. I
don't.
I get bored unless I'm in pain. And like, how long can you be in pain for? From an output standpoint.
Yeah. I've raced 6 hours twice. I've raced 7 and 740. 744 is the longest I've raced. And I was not bored for a second in any of those races.
That's a Spartan race with obstacles, with
True.
I feel like that is a little different.
But 6 hour Tennessee Mile, I was never bored for 1 second. I did the same loop 29 times.
Yeah.
Never bored for a second, because for me, like, they're riding the line and trying to stay in a certain place where you have options later, but you're still putting, like, all that invigorates me. I'm made mentally, I think. Honestly, I believe I'm made to be an ultra runner. I was just given a body that doesn't do well with that.
Well, what about, okay, this statement then? This is where I lie with this, I think, is racing for any duration, 200 miles.
Yes.
I'm on board with racing that, if you can even. But completion interests me zero. Like, if that is the
Yes.
sole mission,
Yeah.
like, to cover 100 miles, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it won't suck. I could put on my shoes right now and I'll find a way. I'm not saying, like, I could walk and it would take me forever, but, like, I could do it, and I don't get any feeling of satisfaction out of that. That's what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah.
at what distance is my body shut down where I feel like I can no longer race it?
Yeah,
That's what I sort through.
I'm with you on that. I I have to be competing for it to light my fire.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
And what you're competing at like the goalposts move a little bit as the distance moves up, but like it still has to be that feeling where I'm trying to accomplish something other than just the finish line.
Yes.
So I'm with you there. So my answer, and this is going to be one of my least educated answers, I think, ever on this podcast, probably
Well, that
because
says a lot.
I haven't done this ever and I haven't thought about this prior
Okay.
to this question. Somewhere between 62 and 85 miles. That's what a backyard 100 equals to me.
So there's a 22.5 mile discrepancy between the floor and ceiling.
Apparently. Somewhere between 100K and 80 to 85 miles. So I'll say 85. I'd
Okay.
be interested to hear Jay, his feedback on that, as well as other people's. But that's what I think. The rests make it. You've accomplished 100 miles, yes, but there's no way it could be as destructive as a regular 100. No way.
Yeah, those repetitive steps still add up, and the structural damage is, you're splitting hairs if you're saying it's worth 80 or 100. Like, either way, you're screwed. Right?
No one ever thought, I shouldn't say no one, but like average person doesn't think, well, at least I only did 85 miles. I'm good to go tomorrow. No, that might as well be 100. You're right.
Yeah. We'd have to get, who we should get is Justin Hamilton's opinion on this stuff. He would be
We should.
the guy to talk about. All right. So just entertain me here. I want to move on from the ultra space just because there's a whole sector of our listeners who are just probably had paused this already or stopped and moved to like the strength running podcast. So go enjoy. But let's move to just other thoughts about running math. We have 14 minutes is all we have because
I have
that's our hard stop.
Unless you have a topic.
Well, sure, go.
Well, my belief is that 5K times are all the same within a several minute bracket.
As far as what goes?
Like what it's worth. This is going to anger people, Kirk. You want messages? I believe that
I have to read the messages first, Brakken.
What'd you say?
I have to read the messages first, so just know that before you say this.
Well, I believe that like 20 to 22 minutes is all the same.
Oh, it's not going to piss people off.
I think that 1959 down to 18 flat is all the same. I think that
in regards to what? Damage?
Like it's
effectiveness?
Worth the same. It's worth the same.
So is somebody that runs 15:15 in the 5K, which was my time trial last week, versus somebody who runs 30:30, twice the amount of time, which is a way more common 5K time.
Yeah.
How are those treated differently?
Like worlds apart.
Yeah, like in what way? No,
I think 15:15 is the same as 16:15.
And I agree with you fully on that.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. Like I've run 15:42, you run 15. What's your lifetime PR?
I never really raced it in college ever.
What'd you split in an AK in college?
Oh God, probably close to my 5K here.
Right. So I've run 15:42, you run 15:15. To me, now this is going to sound really arrogant. Those are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know, and you and I both know that we are not equivalent in that my 1542 might as well be 1842 compared to 1515, but they're the same in the scope of fast running.
So what's the difference then for a 30-minute versus a 15-minute 5K? Like, for example, there is not a chance I could sustain the same heart rate output for twice the duration. So just metabolically, you have that to think about, right? You're starting to play with the threshold waters more and needing to respect maybe a little bit of the upper end of that. For example, a fast, in quotes, whatever subjective, you run 15 minutes, I may be taking a third less strides than you. maybe even half the number of strides as you running 30 minutes. So that's that much less pounding. But what's my
Yeah.
force production output per stride? And what is that level of impact in whatever that's measured in
Right.
versus somebody who's shuffling? There's a lot of nuances to that.
And what I mean, and I want to build right off that, what I mean by that is not that 20 minutes is equally impressive to 22, or that 15:15 is equally impressive to 16:15. It's that they're running the same style of race. Like 30 minutes is not racing a 5K the same way that 15 minutes is. They're
Correct.
not the same race. They're not the same demands. You're not working the same systems. People running 20 to 22 minutes are all dealing with the same type of discomfort and pain.
If they're threading the needle, yes.
Yes. Yeah, if that's their all out, like
Yeah.
they're running hard, but they are significantly slower than their VO2 max. It's closer to threshold than it is to VO2 max at 20 to 22 minutes.
Where would you make that cutoff?
I think then once you get below 20 minutes, now you're starting to get much more anaerobic. But the people who are running 16 to 18 are not dealing with the same type of respiration rate and intense, like different type of pain as the people running 15 minutes. And the people running 12 and a half minutes are running an entirely different race than the people running 14 minutes. Like
Yeah.
they're not even in the same world, but they're all so much faster than everyone else that we assume they are. But like we can't even understand what a 12 and a half minute 5K feels like
Well, that's faster than
because,
the world record if it's exactly 12 and a half.
well,
But
1240, let's call it then.
yeah.
There are people in the running in the 1240s all the time now. It's almost becoming commonplace, but that is not the same race as someone running 14 and a half minutes, even though they're both otherworldly fast. They're not the same demands. It's not the same feeling. Like we say hard is hard, everything is relative, but it's not the same. Someone PRing at 20 minutes in the 5K, losing their life across the line, is not hurting in the same way that someone is at 14 minutes because you're working a different system.
They're not hurting in the same it's not the same type of hurt is what you're saying.
Correct.
They
They're
both
both
could be hurting as equally
maxed out hurt.
intensive. Right, but I get
Yes.
what you're saying. There's a difference between 800-meter pain
Yeah.
and 5K pain, and there's a difference between 5K pain
Yeah.
and half marathon pain, and there's yes.
It's getting stabbed with a hatchet versus a butcher knife versus a scalpel. Like they're all different.
They
You've
all
been
hurt.
even if yeah, they all hurt. They all will take all of your concentration and all of your pain tolerance, but they're different.
All right, so I'm glad we're going here with this. This is where I wanted to start with the 5K as the centerpiece, so I'm glad you started with that. So, I know a lot of 30 to 35-minute 5Kers.
Yes.
I know equally the same number of 17 to 20-minute 5Kers.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody else is in between, right? I know very few under 17. I know very few over 35.
Yes.
But a point I'm getting at. So let's take my 15-15 and let's call that a 32-30 10K.
Yeah.
I just ran 6.2 miles. You just ran 5K, 3.1. Where does that math is the 5K runner who's only in quotes covering 3.1, only getting 3.1 miles of credit, and the 32-30 10K runner is getting 6.2 miles of credit? Is that just? We both finished in 32-30, except one went half the distance and one went twice. Are they created equal? We deal with this problem a lot with volume and training athletes for ultras when they're either slower or faster. So what do you think?
In face value, that should be working the same exact system. 32 minutes of all out effort is 32 minutes of all out effort. At face value, it's the same exact experience.
But one gets credit on their mileage for 6.2 and one gets credit for 3.1.
Yes. But the limiters in each are different because the 32-minute 5K athlete is not riding that lactate threshold line and exceeding it. They are significantly under it and then significantly over it at the very end. But their main limiter is muscular. They simply don't have the running efficiency, ability, whatever you want to call it, to move their legs any faster. And they're not being anaerobically limited like a 10K runner running 32 minutes is. When we're running a 10K, we are hitting a point with our breathing and our heart rate where, like, if we push any more, we're going to be in trouble. We could push more. We're going to come up a few K short. Someone running 5K in 32 minutes is dealing with extreme muscular fatigue from very early on. And the option to run much faster isn't really on the table. So I do not think that they are equal, even though in theory they should be. One's a cardiovascular limiter and the other one's muscular.
And in both scenarios, this person is riding the line to their
Best of their
executional
ability.
limits, right?
Yeah.
What turns into like a mind F for me is always like the person who crosses the finish line first gets the accolades, but the 32:30 person could have run the best executed race in the 10,000 person field. And yet they finish 7,300th.
Yeah.
And they literally ran the best race for their ability, but like they're just lost in it. And you'll never know. Like the execution point where like the guy up front could have ran like an idiot, but he's that talented and has worked to be in that position, and he gets celebrated in 32:30, who is the monster out there.
Yep.
Disappears.
Yeah. And maybe the person who wins didn't work very hard.
Yeah, it's also true.
Quite often they don't work the hardest in the race unless
The winner
they're a
never
front
does.
runner by nature. And just
second place usually takes the brunt of it.
Second and fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the people with a tantalizingly close goal who are hanging on and can't quite cover it.
Mm-hmm.
So like a 9 minute, excuse me, a 9 minute 2 miler and a 9 minute 1.5 miler. Both are in theory running VO2 max. In theory.
Mm-hmm.
But the 2 miler is going to be in more excruciating pain because they're able to ride their line closer. I think the faster you go, the smaller distance there is between gears and the more ability do you have to micro tune things. The slower you go, like a 32-minute 5K runner, when you're running 10.5-minute miles, there are big spaces between gears. Like I have my jogging and it's exhausting, or I can sprint at the end, but it's not like I can just ratchet up the pace as I go. That's not a thing. So you generally sit in a fatigue place and then you hurt terribly when you try to pick it up at the end. But the people who can ride a fine line and do micro changes in pace, those are the ones who hurt the sharpest. The people who are out of shape hurt the longest.
Yeah, I firmly, just myself, like the more fit I am, the more I actually can access pain and sitting in it. It's like the marshmallow on the fire theory. It's like if you're out of shape, and that doesn't mean like you could be fast and out of shape, whatever that means to you. You could be slow and out of shape, but like you can either have your marshmallow like 6 inches away from the fire and be taking forever, but as soon as you get close, it burns up in flames and it's done. Whereas like the person who is dialed, you got it right in the sweet spot, and you can just sit there uncomfortably and just sit there and sit there without it going up in flames, without having to back off. That marshmallow just gets cooked perfectly and you just sit there. Yeah. But when I'm out of shape, I'm either way off or when I tip, it's over and poof, gone. I have no options. I can't sit there.
I think about races where I had something I didn't recover from. Like you hear all the time, like there's a big uphill in mile 4 and I never really recovered. And I was just miserable all the way through. But like it's a different type of miserable. It's a dull miserable. Like every time I try to go, I over rev again and I'm right back down to this. I'm just exhausted. But the people who hit the uphill hard, recover 30 seconds later, and then hit the accelerator again are going to get to a more acute state of hurt than you. But you're going to hurt duller from earlier on. Yeah. Because you can't recover. So you just have to hurt the whole way in and nothing feels good. Whereas they're going to press into it and get to a sharper, more specifically painful place, but probably sit there for less time.
I would agree with that. I think you're going to get some pushback on a little bit of this. Yeah. I got to think through it.
It's all relative. Like everyone's hurting, but hurting is different for different speeds and fitnesses in a race for sure.
Yeah. If you implode, like you may sit at a solid 8.5 to 9 for the majority of the race and just sit there, but you can't even figure out how to get to a 10 because you're on borrowed time. Whereas somebody who's nailing it and executing well might sit at that 8.5. But when it's time, the scalpel turns into a switchblade, turns into a hatchet, and they're able to like meet it head on versus hang on. And I think that's the difference where you start to realize like that's what hurting. That's a new level of hurting, if that makes sense. Which I've experienced very few breakthroughs like that in my career. Honestly, they are few and far between. They have been for me, anyways. Only a handful over the years.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. I think we made a mess of that, but it's time.
If you're sitting there and thinking you really disagree with us, like, you're welcome. You just stayed engaged for 45 minutes of your run, and we took your mind off it. Like, this is a bit of talking in circles, blabbering, but this is running math.
Message Brakken on his personal IG account.
Yeah, I'll
leave me out of it.